Konnichiwa. I'm CD Demishio, but here I am in Hokkaido, Japan, city of Otaru. I bought a house for not much money. I've named the house Satoshi Manor, and I've talked about it. I've shared a little bit of the journey of me coming to live here and trying to figure out how to fix this house, how to make it into a home, and how to live in Japan. But today I wanted to do something a little different. I want to share a little bit about the city of Otaru that I've come to. Let's have a look at Otaru, a glimpse into this historic gem of Hokkaido and Japan. This town that I've bought a house in and chosen to live in, it's so filled with surprises. Things I'd never really expect to find here. There's a vibrant, creative community here. And the museums show that. This is the community gallery, which is free and showcases the work of people in Otaru. I mean, there is so much talent here. It sort of blows my mind. You know, and as I walked through the gallery and looked at these paintings, I just thought, why isn't every town like this? Why doesn't every town have a gallery like this where the paintings of the town, the paintings of the students, the paintings of the adults are displayed so that everyone can go and see them and appreciate them? It's a really cool thing. And this particular part of the art gallery is free. I suppose I shouldn't be so surprised that art follows culture and culture follows money. Money definitely was here. This wasn't a poor place. It was never a poor place. In fact, Hokkaido was only developed in the 1870s when the Emperor Meiji decided he wanted to turn Japan into a world power. Hokkaido is resource rich. Fisheries, timber, minerals, all of it was here, and it was largely unsettled, except by the Ainu people, who of course were here early. But the Meiji Emperor decided to move forward and to turn this place into part of Japan, which it had been, but not really. And Otaru was at the center of that. This beautiful harbor, these mountains, these mineral resources, the fisheries, all of it. Settlers, supplies, buildings, banks, they all came here, following each other, following the money. The railroads arrived. This place changed rapidly from a quiet coastal village to one of the economic powerhouses of Japan. Otaru existed before Sapporo, and Otaru was probably the place that you would have expected to become the megacity of Hokkaido. But of course, that was Sapporo eventually. And all of those banks that came here, all of that money that came here, they brought jobs, they brought opportunity, and they brought culture, and among that was literature. Otaru was the center of the economy. It was one of the biggest fishery harbors in Hokkaido after the Meiji era. And people who dreamed of making a fortune or finding new jobs, they came to Otaru from all over Japan. Lots of them settled down here. They brought cultures from their hometown, and those cultures all mixed together in a sort of mixing bowl of Japanese culture, creating a really unique atmosphere in this new community. Otaru was economically and culturally rich. It was full of poets and literary scholars who were born or moved here, novelists, and bankers. In the 1920s and 30s, Otaru was known as the Wall Street of Japan. Isn't that crazy? This beautiful little town that I moved to just because of the natural beauty, the location, the climate. I find all of these things as I pass through it. As I walk through these museums, I discover that books were written here, stories were written here, famous authors lived here, famous in Japan. Ishikawa Tokuboku, he was a Tonka poet and writer. He's famous for the 31-syllable Japanese poem, the Tonka poems, one of the most famous literary persons in Japan, and he visited Otaru in its frontier days and produced work here. In addition to Tokuboku, there was also Okada Saburo, who was a novelist who was born in Matsume but came here. all of these writers, and the Otaru Literary Museum celebrates all of them. I asked if there were foreign writers, and they said not that they knew of. So maybe I'm the first, but somehow I doubt it. I think there have been other foreign writers here who probably deserve to be celebrated. Maybe someday I'll deserve to be celebrated too. Another writer who was here was Hayakawa Miyoji. He was a novelist, a dramatist, an economist. There was some radical stuff that happened here. Kobayashi Takiji was a proletarian novelist. He was basically a hardcore socialist and was here and writing and working in Otaru. He has a literature monument that stands on the hill. It's Asahi Tenbodai, the Asahi Observatory in Otaru. And I don't know, all this stuff. But it wasn't just books, glass as well. Otaru is very famous for its glass blowers and its glass creations. And this is just in the city museum, these things that I'm showing you here. If you go into the Western Museum, you see Lalique glass, a huge collection. Gaie glass, a huge collection. You see music boxes. When I say music boxes, I don't mean little music boxes. I mean huge cabinet-sized machines that made music autonomously once you wound them up. But look at this glass. This is just contemporary glass by contemporary artists here in Otaru. It's astounding what you can do, or what they do, what you can do when you wander around this town and look and open your eyes and walk into a museum. Some of these I didn't even know they were museums at first. I thought they were gift shops. I thought they were cafes. I didn't know exactly what they were. But here they are. All you have to do is walk through the door to discover it. The money history of Otaru is such a trip to me. All of these banks, all of this money, and that explains why all of these highfalutin museums, why all of these literary people came here to work for the newspapers, to work for the novelists. They came, they saw, they wrote, they lived. I can't help but wonder if my own house had someone in it that was engaged in some sort of art or artistic endeavor. I haven't found any evidence of that, but it's neat to think about. I wonder if any of these writers, who are detailed in this museum, I wonder if any of them came to visit. I wonder if the people who lived in this house knew them, read them, had their books. I've tried to buy a few of their books. I managed to get one on Amazon, but I have to buy in English, so there's not a lot of translations of these. When there are, they're super expensive, and I don't need to buy super expensive books right now. Still, I want to know more about these writers. I want to know about their work. I want to know about their stories. And I also want to know about the monsters and the ghosts and the spirituality of this place. In fact, I'm writing a novel now that's going to dive into some of that stuff as I learn it, because that's what I do. I live my life. I take the things that I learn and observe and see, and I incorporate them into stories and I write them. I guess that's what all writers do. I think this is probably what my office would look like at some point, but maybe not. Thanks for taking this little stroll through a few museums in Otaru with me. I hope you're enjoying it. Aloha.